I've completed Assassin's Creed Mirage, and I'm going to share some of the best outfits, weapons, skills, and tools that I think you should unlock early in your game so you can get the best start and have a more enjoyable experience during your playthrough. No storyline spoilers here, by the way, and my thanks to Silvia at Ubisoft for slinging me across a review code so I could get this guide video out to you very quickly. Now, as this game has a progression system that is dependent upon the narrative storyline, you're going to be restricted in what you can do in the world until you actually reach Baghdad and complete the branching out quest, which will take you a couple hours. As soon as you've done that, you can now start taking advantage of all of the game mechanics and unlocks which are now open to you. And let's start with vendors, because they sell 3 important resources that we need to get early doors to upgrade our tools, weapons, and armor, those being steel ingots, leather, and components. And the reason why I say that we need to buy them all from the vendor as soon as we reach Baghdad is because as you reach each new assassin level whilst playing through the story, the vendors will reset their wares and their 3 resources will then become available to purchase. That means if you don't purchase all of what they have at each assassin level, you're missing out on a potential 1,800 steel ingots and leather and 500 components, which is a substantial amount in this game, because otherwise you will have to loot all of these resources from random chests in the world, complete contracts, or wait several in-game hours for a vendor reset, which is very time consuming indeed, and we don't want to be doing that. So the best way to get silver fast so we can purchase these resources as soon as we arrive in Baghdad is to turn on the guarantee pickpocket option in the setting menu and spend 10 minutes instant pickpocketing everybody in the Grand Bazaar marketplace for junk items, which we can then sell to the vendor for silver. And I made around 2,500 in that 10 or 15 minute time period, which is plenty to be buying all of these resources. And this is a super important step to be aware of early on in the game, because this will allow us to upgrade our outfits and weapons very quickly to maximize Bassam's abilities. And let's go through a solid starting build now that I would recommend, starting with the outfits, because there's 6 that you can get in this game, and I'm going to put all of their stat pages on your screen right now for full clarity and transparency, but I'm only going to suggest one that I think you should prioritize unlocking early over everything else, because it's incredibly advantageous for stealth and combat focused builds. And that's because this Rostam outfit, when upgraded at the tailor to its tier 3 perk level, utilizing the resources, by the way, you've just bought off that vendor, reduces Bassam's sound when walking, running, or sprinting by 100%, which is pretty overpowered throughout the game, as the enemy AI is improved from Valhalla in my opinion. So if you walk over glass, bump into a box, or speed, crouch, run, you will not be heard at all by the enemy AI while you wear this outfit. Now, to unlock this, you'll need to complete the marked coins contract on your bureau board, which only becomes available after completing the weapons dealer contract and then the satiric poet contract. And as soon as those 2 contracts are completed and you've accepted all of the other contracts on the board, it will then pop up and then you can grab it very early on. But to get it to max level, you'll need to complete the follow-up contracts called the Traitor and Orion's Belt for the schematics that you can then use to take to the tailor vendor and upgrade that outfit to max level so you don't make a single sound for the rest of the game. And because of that, in my opinion, it is very much worth doing as soon as you reach Baghdad. Plus, the contracts are quite fun to do and reward you with extra resources for upgrades further down the line. Now, as for sword recommendations, you'll be pleased to hear that compared to the other 6 swords available for you to earn in game, as you can see here, the Initiate of Alamet sword, which you will already have equipped by the time you arrive in Baghdad, has the best perks out of all of the other swords combined, in my opinion, because your next attack increases your damage by 50% after successfully parrying, which I feel complements both stealth players who are dealing with a quick skirmish of enemies, or players who are more openly combat focused, as you will be parrying an incredible amount in this game because that's how the combat has been designed by the developers. There's also no need to upgrade it to tier 3 to enhance the perk, as it only increases the general damage of the sword, so another big benefit there. Now, as for your early game dagger choice, I would recommend 2 for you to consider out of the available 6 here in game. The first is the Initiate of Alamet dagger, which you will already have in your infantry after completing the prologue, as parrying will provide you with a plus 25 defense, which reduces the amount of damage you will receive from enemy attacks, and of course works really nice nicely with the sword parry buff we just discussed, and no need to upgrade this 3 times to enhance that perk as well, which is really good news. And then there is this Zanji Uprising Dagger, which after a successful dodge will refill your stamina bar by 10%, which is very much in short supply early on in the game. So by having this dagger equipped, it will help minimize your dodge bar, and if we use it in combination with the initiative element sword that will subsequently increase your damage after parrying, I think there's a nice balance of benefits here when dodging and parrying in combat if you're that type of player. Now, if you want to obtain this Zanji dagger and max upgrade it to tier 3 early, you will need to visit each of the 3 gear chest locations in Abyssia on your map here, and you'll need to visit all of them, by the way, because the drop in each of the 3 chests is random, so you'll either get a dagger or 2 upgrade schematics, so there's a 33% chance that you will get the dagger on your first try, so it's going to take you around 10 or 15 minutes or so to get everything there, depending upon your luck. So all right then, we've got our armor set and weapons chosen as well as upgraded, but what are the best skills to get as soon as you arrive in Baghdad? Well, after you've completed that branching out quest, you should have around 8 to 12 skill points, but I'm going to recommend how to spend your first 10 skill points in-game. Firstly, in the Phantom Tree, I would suggest you purchase the Kickback and Breakfall skills for 3 points, as this will limit your damage taken from jumping from heights, which you will do a lot in this game, as well as reduce the enemy's defense bar for a instant kill by utilizing that kick. They're also mandatory unlocks for what we really want, so you can spend those 3 additional skill points in unlocking the Chain of Assassination ability, which is incredibly useful early on in the game, as most guards or patrols have 2 or more enemies alongside one another, so being able to dispatch them very quickly is incredibly advantageous. Now, as for the Trickster Tree, spend 1 point in the Auto Collect skill, meaning you auto loot assassinated enemies, and then unlock the Extra Tool Capacity skill, which will then allow you to unlock a new tool back in the Bureau, which will add extra and very much needed environmental utility to your game early on, and we'll expand on what tool is right for you next, because we've spent 9 skill points so far, and for our final point, I would recommend popping that in Pathfinder in the Predator Tree, as you will spend a lot of time during the early quests searching for keys to get off guards, and when you're trying to find that guard in a very large fortress or open space, it can become very time consuming with such a limited eagle vision range. So this ability allows you to identify your target quickly, as well as chests and secret pathways, which also help early on in your playthrough. Now let's go through some of the best tools you should consider unlocking first, as well as what the tiered upgrades are to utilize within each tool, or the ones that would be best for you. Starting with the throwing knife, because you will already have it from the prologue, and if you head into your bureau and tell Ilban Musa that you would like to upgrade your tools, you'll then be prompted with his menu screen, and this is where you'll want to select your throwing knives icon. This is then going to open up another tiered upgrade window for you, where you can alter the effects of your throwing knife if you unlock each of the 3 tiers, which you may already actually be able to do if you've got enough resources, as you can see here. Those resources, of course, coming from buying them from the vendor that we spoke about earlier on. Now, you can only choose 1 bonus benefit from each of the 3 tiers early on in the game, and I would recommend that you choose the extra capacity bonus for the throwing knife here, as you'll be using them a lot, and they are a instant kill with a headshot, so it's good to have an extra couple on your waist to get through or burn through enemies when you're in a tight spot. But if you do have enough resources to upgrade to tier 2, I'd recommend choosing the light blade option here if you're going full stealth during your playthrough, as it allows you to charge up your throw for extra damage. But if you want to use them in combat, go for poison tip instead, as just landing a body shot throwing knife will kill an enemy after the poison wears off, so no need to spend time trying to aim to get a headshot while in combat. Now, this will be up to you, but after unlocking a new tool via your skills, I would recommend going for the smoke bomb first, as it's very advantageous in and out of combat, especially if you upgrade it to tier 1, because this will increase its capacity. So you will have 6 in total to use, as they really do help you get out of combat and return to stealth quite quickly. Or if you want to use it during combat by aggroing all of the enemies in the vicinity, then I would upgrade it to durable smoke, so it lasts for longer and you can spend more time assassinating all of the enemies inside the actual smoke bomb. Now, as for tier 2, if you can unlock it early with your resources, I recommend going for healing vapor here, because it complements that during smoke tier upgrade, meaning you get healed for longer while you're one-shotting everyone inside the smoke that you've just aggroed. Or if you want to use the smoke as purely as a getaway tool, then I'd prioritize choking fumes here, as it will stun the enemies for longer and make them take damage, halting their pursuit of you. But if you don't fancy using the smoke bomb as your first tool unlock, go with the noisemaker, because it's also incredibly useful to be able to round up enemies into one place or move them out of your way. Now, my tier 1 recommendation would be for an extra capacity here, for the reason of using them quite liberally without having to ration them too much. Or if you would prefer to pull a lot more enemies into one place but less frequently, then I would upgrade it to a loud fuse here, as it has a bigger radius of effect. As for my tier 2 recommendation, if you've got the materials, the only choice here for me is fireworks, as it holds the enemy's attention for a long time, which is the whole purpose of the noisemaker in my opinion. So by enhancing that, it makes it even more impactful. Now, I've got more tips and tricks for you here in this video on your screen right now, so give that a click so you can get even more out of this awesome game, and I'll see you there in just a second. But if you're still here, my huge thanks to my co-content creator Nika, who has joined me in early access and has helped me scour the game to get the best info for you. Coffee is definitely on her, and I'll see you in that next video.